So this is the second part of chapter 6, the second part, areas of social influence. So in this session, we are going to discuss this conformity, norms, experiences, factors, types of conformity, minority influence in conformity, gender in conformity. In the next discussion, in the next video, we'll discuss this compliance and obedience. But for now, we'll focus on this conformity, norms, types of norms, experiment on conformity, factors affecting conformity, types of conformity, minority influence in conformity, gender in conformity. So we start from these areas of social influence. There are three areas of social influence. These are conformity, compliance, and obedience. Conformity is changing how you behave to be more like others. It focuses on, it plays to belongingness and stimulates. In compliance, the person does something that they are asked to do by another person. But in compliance, a person has the ability to choose to comply or not to comply. Actually, there is indirect social pressure to comply, but the individual is not obliged to do what he has to do. In obedience, there is obeying an order from someone that you accept as authority figure. So in obedience, there is direct order and the individual has no choice. We are going to start from this conformity. The main concept of conformity is because it strings from norm. We'll start by discussing norms. Norms are unwritten rules for accepted and expected behaviors. For instance, shaking hands is a social norm. There are different types of norms. These folkways, norms that stems from an organized social, causal interaction. For instance, shaking hand, folkway, no? Mores, these are norms that structure the difference between right and wrong. ምሳሌ መስረቅ ነውር ነው አይደለም መጥፎ ነው አይደለም these are mores. Stealing is for instance more. In taboo represents these strong negative norms. Violating it results in extreme disgust. So ታቡ የምንላቸው ለምሳሌ የቤተሰብ በቤተሰብ መካከል የሚደረግ ጋብቻ እንደዚህ these are taboo. And law is the fourth type of norm. This is the norm that is formally inscribed, written at the state or federal level. Most of you are aware of norms, this kind of the four types of norm, that is law. Norms prescribe behavior. Norms prescribe behavior, proper behavior. For instance, there are norms that guide teachers' behavior and norms that guide student behavior. It is not, for instance, a norm. Is it a norm for a teacher to raise his hand in the classroom to talk? How about students? So it's not the norm for a teacher to raise his hands in the class to talk, but a student should raise his hand in order to talk, in order to speak out what he believes. So conformity is the process by which individuals' attitudes, beliefs, behaviors are conditioned by what is conceived to be what other people may perceive. It's caused by subtle unconscious influence or direct or indirect overt social pressure. So there is unwillingness. Any unwillingness to conform results in social rejection. Conformity can have negative or positive effect, good or bad effect, depending on the situation. For instance, driving safely on the correct side of the road is a beneficial and important aspect of conformity. So some conformity dimensions are very important, others are bad. So Solomon Ash devised an experiment on conformity. The subjects of the study is given the line test, and his accuracy scores are recorded. Then the subject is asked to join 5 other men. These are called confederates or false subjects to complete the line test together. So the 5 other men in the study are all confederates. They know the purpose of the study, the intent of the experimenter. So first, uh, the uh, the individual will be asked. Then these confederates or false subjects will be asked. Uh, each answers correctly as does the subject. So first, the confederates, the false subject follows the answer, the option indicated by the subject. In the third trial, the confederates begin answering incorrectly. That means they begin to debate. The 5 confederates, false subjects, begin to give false answers. Ash is looking to see whether or not the subject will begin answer incorrectly. As he expected, the subject began to follow the answer of these false subjects or confederates. So will he conform? Yes, he conformed. The subject conformed. So this is the line test, which comparison line is equal to the standard line A, B, C, line 1, line 2, line 3. Which of these lines are equal to the standard line? So the subjects agreed that line 3 is equal to the standard line, because the confederates began answering incorrectly. Factors that increase conformity, attractiveness of members, complexity or difficulty of the task, group cohesiveness. These are some factors. For instance, the more attractive a group member, the more likely this conformity will occur. Complexity of the task. When the task is difficult, we begin to have the help of others. We conform. We are more likely to conform. When group cohesiveness increases, conformity also increases. There are 2 types of conformity: informational conformity or informational social influence, and normative social influence or normative conformity. In informational social influence, we conform to other groups because uh, we want information. We need the information. We want to obtain accurate information. So this results from one's willingness to accept others' opinions. So you see this kind of conformity in Facebook. Individuals, followers, the so-called movements following opinion leaders or political leaders, party leaders, watching online movie, for instance, restaurant reviews, and accepting opinions. We read or we watch online articles or posts, or we watch online videos, YouTube videos, and we follow our opinion leaders. This is informational conformity. So we use informational social influence in 3 situations. When the situation is ambiguous, during crisis, when immediate action is necessary in spite of panic, and when the person is more knowledgeable, the person that we are following is more knowledgeable. The second type of this social influence is normative conformity or normative social influence. Normative social influence occurs when one conforms to be liked or accepted by a peer group or member of a group, any group. So normative influence is a result of norm, following the norm. The number is affected by the number of people, group strengths, immediacy, in time and space. So minority influence and conformity. So minority influences conformity. Minority influences conformity. Although conformity generally leads individuals to think and act more like groups, individuals are occasionally able to reverse this tendency and change people around them. So, even though the effect of majority on minority is well researched in social psychology, we social psychologists also study the effect of strong minority within a group or the majority within that group. Therefore, one individual can have a significant, one or two individuals can have a significant effect on 50 or 60 individuals within that group. Assume that there is a group composed of 70 individuals, two individuals may affect the attitude, behavior, feeling of these 68, the rest 68 members of that group. Two members affecting the emotional, cognitive behavior of 78 individuals within that group. They are minorities. Therefore, the concept of minority influence is that each member of the group affects the other and the other members and each other. Minority influence is most likely to occur when people are able to make strong, convincing, clear, and consistent argument. So experts are more likely to be minority influencers, or people with high status are more likely to influence the rest member of the large member of a group, and therefore the have benefited the group in the past or also more likely to succeed. So experts, people with high status, or people who have history of benefiting other members of the group are more likely to influence a large amount of any group. Gender and conformity. Generally, females are more likely to conform than males. So normative social influence explains women's attempt to create ideal body through dating and also by eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. So ኖርማቲቭ ሶሻል ኢንፍሉዌንስ ነው። ለምሳሌ ይሄ ኖርሜቲቭ ሶሻል ኢንፍሉዌንስ የምንለው ሴቶች ውበት ላይ እንዲያተኩሩ ራሳቸው ጾም እንዲያድሩ ለመክሳት ማለት ነው። ምክንያቱም መክሳት ከቁንጅና ጋር ስለሚገናኝ ጾማቸውን ያድራሉ። ይሄ ኖርሜቲቭ ሶሻል ኢንፍሉዌንስ ነው፣ ኖርም ነው። ኢንፎርሜሽናል ሶሻል ኢንፍሉዌንስ ወይም ኢንፎርሜሽናል ኮንፎርሚቲ አይደለም። ወንዶች በተዘዋዋሪ ደግሞ ጡንቻቸውን ማሳደግ፣ ብዙ መብላት፣ የተለያዩ ነገሮችን መወጋት፣ የሚያወፍሩ ጡንቻን የሚያዳብሩ ነገሮችን ይወጋሉ። So self-assessment questions below are multiple choice questions based on this Bloom's taxonomy. They focus on these factors found to increase conformity: informational social influence, normative social influence, minority influence in conformity, gender conformity. So you are expected to read deeply these topic areas before attempting these questions. These are the questions. Informational social influence is most likely to occur when which of the following best illustrates the concept of public compliance due to normative social influence? A new employee at a company is unsure how to fill out a particular form. They look around and see all their colleagues filling it out in a certain way, so they follow suit even though they do not fully understand it. This is an example of a small group of environmental activists consistently protests a company's polluting practice. Even when ridiculed by the majority over time, some members of the public start to question the company's action. This scenario best illustrates. Imagine a situation where a minority group initially faces strong resistance, but remains consistent in their message over time, the majority starts to process the majority's arguments more thoroughly. This shift likely involves a change from to what extent do you believe the findings from Western-centric conformity research can be generalized to other cultural contexts, such as Asosa, Benishangul Gumuz region, Ethiopia? Justify your reason. This is advanced question. So in the next video, I will address compliance. Thank you for your attention.